Like the video and subscribe to our channel right now and get 1 week of amazing luck. Athletes are always looking for an edge on their opponents. And for some, that means even doing things that aren't within the rules. Or downright cheating. The thing is, in today's sports world, someone is always watching, and sometimes, millions of people are watching as TV cameras are always rolling, bringing games into households every night. So, it's even harder for athletes to get away with cheating on the field, but some of them still try to do it and even get away with it. It's pretty amazing to see some lengths players and coaches will go to in order to not get caught cheating. From throwing a game, using illegal substances, or breaking rules, players and coaches have tried their best to cross the line and win big. Here are 12 athletes caught cheating on live TV. Number 12. Patrick Reed. If you play golf, you likely know that shots that must be hit at an unusual angle are the most challenging. However, Patrick Reed chose to try a sneaky move rather than put his skills to the test. Fresh from winning the 2018 Masters, Reed became the center of much debate. In a sand dune at the 2019 Hero World Challenge after his ball got caught there. Reed found a solution by trying out several clubs, but cameras soon captured him trying to move some sand purposefully away from his ball. It is against the law to ground the club in golf alone, let alone move sand piles away from the ball. Even worse, Reed's shot didn't even go in as he was instantly caught and assessed a 2-stroke penalty. Karma, you strike again, and the ball simply moves off the green and rolls over. Number 11. Shahid Afridi. Ask Pakistani cricketer Shahid Afridi, who caused some controversy in 2010 when his side faced off against Australia in the one-day international, how easy it may work up an appetite while playing sports. Afridi became desperate in an effort to give his team an advantage as Australia was dominating by a large margin. In order for his bowler to have a stronger grip, he decided to scrap the ball a little. The issue, though, was that instead of simply pressing down on the ball or even attempting a more subtle scuff, the player actually chomped down on it. The action immediately drew the umpire's attention, although Afridi claimed that he was just trying to smell the ball. I mean, smell the ball with your mouth? And why would you be smelling the ball anyway? Afridi would receive a 2-match ban for ball tampering, and at least he got enough time to fill up on some real food afterward. Number 10. Michael Pineda. Back in 2014, New York Yankees pitcher Michael Pineda appeared to have gone too far in his pursuit of the perfect grip. Although it is against the rules for illicit substances to contact the ball in an MLB game, Pineda continued to play with it. Number 9. Will Smith. If you believe that just Michael Pineda was caught attempting to get sticky with a baseball, think again. To improve their grips for his might, pitchers have begun utilizing foreign substances. Despite sharing a name with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, this man lacked any sense of style. Against the Atlanta Braves in a game, everyone from the referees to the Braves players felt something sticky on Smith's arm, and he was flagged right away. It's really crazy. The player applied a sticky substance that was so obvious that opponents watching from 60 feet away could really see it. Given the flaws in his falsehoods and how readily he was exposed as cheating, Will Smith had stated that the solution was a combination of sunscreen and rosin that he had been using to practice. Number 8. The Spanish Paralympic basketball team. Imagine attempting to defraud people with disabilities merely for the sake of fame. Many of us would never go so low, but the Spanish Paralympic team had little trouble doing it. The Spanish learning handicapped basketball team appeared to be crushing their opponents while competing at the 2000 Sydney Paralympics. They were hailed as heroes after defeating the Russian squad to win the gold medal. But regrettably, their triumph would be fleeting because it turned out that 10 of the team's 12 members were completely healthy and not at all learning challenged. Speaking on the scandal, one of the players claimed that the Spanish squad had merely abused the lax enforcement of the rules. The issue grew to such an extent that it was discovered that the team had even been competing against other learning disabled teams for 2 years while in training. Ultimately, the scam even involved the president of the Spanish Federation of Sports for Intellectually Disabled, who described the organization as "rotten to the core." Number 7. Mike Tyson. In his pomp, Mike Tyson was one of the most terrifying boxers in the world, knocking out opponents in the first round and making spectators shiver at his very sight. But as his career progressed, Iron Mike, as he was known, also developed a small anger management issue. During a 1997 match against Evander Holyfield, the new kid on the block, Mike would lose control of his fury and bite his opponent's ear. When Mike appeared to push Evander after the latter complained about being bitten, the situation would become much more tense. The instant the replay showed Mike biting Evander, he was docked 1 point. When the bout was eventually stopped due to excessive heat, Mike had to pay a $3 million fine and have his boxing license suspended for a year. There was a later friendship between Mike and Evander Holyfield, so I suppose there is always a bright side. Number 6. Marvin Hitz. They say soccer is a beautiful game, but I think we can safely contest that claim given that individuals like Marvin Hitz are constantly attempting to stir things up and cause trouble. Hitz, an Augsburg FC goalkeeper in 2016, made a particularly nefarious play against Köln FC. Anthony Modesta, a clone striker, was given a penalty shot that Hitz had to stop. Hitz won over and sank his studs into the ground near the place while the officials were establishing the kickoff modalities. After stepping on the contaminated turf during Modesta's run-up to the penalty, he unexpectedly lost his footing and Hitz was able to make the save. Hitz expressed regret for his unsportsmanlike conduct, and he was even fined €122 for mending the harm he had caused. Still, though I'm pretty sure that the players and fans would hold a grudge for that one. Number 5. Tom Williams. At the Heineken Cup encounter in 2009, the English Harlequins and the Irish Leinsters squared off. In the last seconds of the game, Tom Williams of the Harlequins was replaced after it appeared that he had damaged his mouth and that blood was oozing out of it, making it clear that he could not continue. Nick Evans, a player who had already been substituted off due to injury previously, would be the lone replacement for Tom. Nick had previously been substituted, which was against the rules. However, because blood-related injuries were an exception, he was permitted to return to the game, and given that he was the kind of player the Harlequins needed to win the game, things seemed to work out quite well. But here's the thing. As Tom left, cameras captured him figuratively winking to his teammates. When the European Rugby Commission looked into the event, they found that Tom had been given a blood capsule by the team doctor and instructed to pretend to be injured so that Nick could enter the game. After more research revealed that Dean Williams, the chief executive of Harlequin, was the scheme's mastermind, he was expelled from the sport along with Tom and the team physio. A £260,000 fine was imposed on the Harlequins. The most absurd aspect is that the cheating failed to even help the Harlequins win, meaning that the men were defeated on all fronts. Number 4. Diego Maradona. One of the greatest soccer players to ever step foot on a field was Diego Maradona, and he may still be one today. With players like as Pelé and Messi, Maradona is undoubtedly one of soccer's greatest players, but unlike Pelé and Messi, who had more of a defined image, Maradona was unquestionably not a saintly figure. He was untamed and often led his predilection for insane antics onto the field as well. From drug scandals to wild parties. The most notorious incident in Maradona's career occurred in the 1986 World Cup when Argentina played England in a game to determine who would go to the semi-finals. The game quickly picked up in the second half after being scoreless in the first when Maradona skipped past numerous English players. Swiftly thinking on his feet, he decided to use his hand to direct the ball into the English goalpost by raising it close to his head. Almost everyone was aware of what had occurred. Maradona had really handled the ball into the net, but the goal was allowed because the referees and linesmen were unable to witness it. The Hand of God goal, which happened in that match and is now remembered as the most notorious in World Cup history, was a particularly infamous one given that Argentina went on to win the tournament that year. Number 3. Brianna Manziel. In 2021, when news broke that Johnny Manziel had allegedly been cheating, Brianna Manziel and the former NFL quarterback called their marriage off. However, it now looks like Brianna may have been involved in the same behavior. Brianna, an Instagram model and fitness influencer, made the decision to sign up for the 2019 Run Like a Diva half marathon. She ran the 2-lap, 13.1-mile route in 1 hour and 58 minutes despite having no prior training or running expertise. Her feat would be rather suspicious given that the typical half marathon time for a non-elite female runner is well over 2 hours. She looked to have reached the 6.4-mile mark in 1 hour and 31 minutes, implying that she raced the remaining 6.7 miles in just 27 minutes. This was even more strange. Brianna tried her hardest to defend herself, but she was ultimately unsuccessful. It seems unlikely that she would have been able to do this for someone who appeared to be capturing photos and films while she was moving around. Number 2. Dwight Howard. If you're an NBA fan, you're definitely familiar with Dwight Howard. Orlando Magic selected first overall in the draft. Dwight entered the basketball court with high expectations, and for the most part, he met them. He was the recipient of numerous Defensive Player of the Year awards and even led his group to the NBA Finals. But like many NBA athletes, Dwight eventually lost his charm. Sadly, he didn't quite make the progress that many had anticipated as soon as he reached his prime. Officials in the game in March 2016 between the Houston Rockets and Atlanta Hawks saw that the ball was covered in a sticky substance after he had touched it. Someone on the Rockets bench was found to have used a can of Stick M on the ball after some back and forth. Stick M, since the 1980s, a type of adhesive that improves athletes' traction, has been prohibited in professional sports. Although no player was implicated during the game, officials claim that Stick M is banned and that the ball had Stick M on it. Dwight revealed to the Houston Chronicle that he had used the Stick M on the ball in each of his previous games, admitting that he was the one who had done so. It's noteworthy that Dwight wasn't punished for the incident. All he got was a warning. The man escaped a difficult situation. Number 1. Rosie Ruiz. When the 84th Boston Marathon took place in 1980, Rosie Ruiz participated and won it with great distinction. The Cuban-American, who had been an unknown until that point, finished the marathon in 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds. The third fastest female time ever recorded in a marathon worldwide and the fastest female time in the history of the Boston Marathon. Now, given that Rosie was essentially unknown, it was obvious that many people had doubts regarding the legitimacy of this victory. People quickly started to inquire as to whether she was using drugs. How on earth can someone so unknown manage to win one of the toughest marathons in the world on a day with a temperature of 70 degrees days later? When it was revealed that some race officials had not seen Rosie throughout the race, things really became heated. She wasn't captured on any marathon videos until the very last stretch as she raced to the finish line. The jig was over in just 8 days. Fewer than a mile from the finish, numerous race spectators verified seeing her enter the race from the sidelines. Witnesses who saw her on the subway during the New York Marathon a few months prior also stated that they had. Although Rosie rejected all of the claims, the evidence was simply overwhelming, and she ultimately lost her record and her marathon victory.